Let's bring in Wisconsin Congressman Bryan Steil. Parts of his district are just south of Milwaukee, where Judge Dugan presides. So she is under arrest, charged with, obstructing federal agents, among other things. What do you think was going through her mind here, Congressman?
Obstruction of federal agents is a crime, and it doesn't matter if you're the defendant, a witness, or a sitting judge. When you read the criminal complaint, it reads like a textbook case of obstruction, that she allowed this defendant to go through non-public areas of the courthouse to get into the streets. And the reason this is so important is because it puts the lives of the men and women of law enforcement who are there to effectuate the arrest at risk. The reason the arrest was being made at the county courthouse, most likely, is because it would be known that the defendant would be unarmed, having already gone through security. Allowing the defendant to get loose onto the street, allowing a foot chase to take place, puts the lives of officers at risk. And this criminal complaint makes it very clear. A large number of witnesses. It reads like a case of obstruction. She deserves her day in court to explain her side of the story, but she does not deserve special treatment.
Supporters are saying, that this is a sort of a revenge case by the Trump administration. How would you answer that?
I would recommend anyone read the criminal complaint. It's actually very short. It's about 13 pages, and it reads like a textbook case of obstruction. And what we can't have is individuals obstructing the work of ICE. This follows just days after our Democratic governor in the state of Wisconsin, Governor Tony Evers, instructing state employees to not assist ICE. Now is the time that we need to be enforcing the law, making sure that we are closing and securing the border for the security of all American citizens. And when you see individuals obstructing federal officers, as this complaint lays out that Judge Dugan did in the city of Milwaukee, it should raise questions and concerns for all Americans. We must enforce the law, no special treatment for anyone. And by no means should anyone be allowed to obstruct federal officers effectuating arrest of an illegal immigrant.
Yeah, of course, President Trump was famously arrested. A number of members of his administration, the Trump 43 administration, were arrested and charged with various crimes. How does that play out versus this district judge?
Well, again, I'd recommend anyone to go read the 13-page federal criminal complaint against the judge. It lays very clearly exactly what took place. It sets forward a number of witnesses who observed this behavior. And again, at the end of the day, what we see is liberal politicians and liberal activists working to undermine President Trump's efforts to secure the U.S.-Mexico border. President Trump came in on an agenda that we're going to secure the border. We have seen dramatic progress starting day one of the President Trump's administration. But what we continue to see is elected politicians or radical liberals trying to undermine this. When you read the obstruction case as set forward by the FBI and the DOJ in this case, it's very clear that obstruction is what played out at the Milwaukee County Courthouse. And again, what it really did is put the lives of our men and women of law enforcement, these federal agents, at risk. They were forced to conduct a foot chase of this individual through the streets of Milwaukee, rather than being able to effectuate an arrest right there in the county courthouse when they knew that this individual would have been unarmed.
Of course, enforcing the law is important, or so we hear from a number of elected officials. Listen.
Well, no one is above the law, but I think that the law is immutable in the case of the White House. Jurists ought to be able to have control of their courtroom, and localities should not be pressured into executing and assisting ICE.
Yeah, but if
and I think that's the bigger question.
So that's your fellow representative, Gwen Moore, the Democrat from Wisconsin, who says, judges ought to have some leeway here.
Well, Democratic Governor Tony Evers of the state of Wisconsin encouraged all state employees to not assist ICE. But this case goes a step further. This is a case of obstructing federal agents who are there to effectuate an arrest of an illegal immigrant with a duly authorized warrant. And so an obstruction charge is a serious charge. But again, obstruction is a crime, but it applies equally, whether or not that's the defendant, a witness, or the judge herself. And so this is about applying the law equally and making sure that we're enforcing the laws of the United States. I think some people went fast and loose with the rules. Following 4 years of disastrous border policies in the Biden administration, people thought that we should just simply look the other way when illegal aliens commit crimes in the United States of America. President Trump has come to office, and thank goodness, because he's turning the tide and saying we're not going to look the other way anymore. When an individual is in this country illegally, especially one that commits a serious crime, there's going to be consequences for that. And illegal immigrants who commit federal crimes or commit crimes in the United States, who have deportation orders, are going to be removed. And obstructing a federal officer in this case is a serious offense. She deserves her day in court, but she does not deserve special treatment. The
administration made it clear from the get-go that ICE was going to be working and maybe even working around federal courthouses. Here's part of the federal directive issued by the White House. It reads, ICE officers or agents may conduct civil immigration enforcement actions in or near courthouses when they have credible information that leads them to believe the targeted alien is or will be present at a specific location, and where such action is not precluded by laws imposed by the jurisdiction in which the civil immigration enforcement action will take place. So it's quite clear that the administration has intended to do this, but this particular judge is accused of hiding the guy, helping him sneak out the back door, basically.
Well, during the Biden administration, they wanted to have safe spaces for illegal activity to be conducted. And that's exactly what occurred during 4 years of the Biden administration. The federal agents under the Biden administration looked the other way if criminal activity or illegal immigrants were located in certain locations. The Trump administration, I think, rightly has come in and said those days are done. What we're actually going to do is enforce the law, and we don't care where you're located. We are going to enforce the law. But this is a step further of what took place at the Milwaukee County Courthouse, where the judge is alleged to have engaged in obstruction of the federal agents themselves. It's already bad that we have jurisdictions across the country operating as sanctuary cities, refusing to assist ICE conducting their work. But this charge is a step further. This is an obstruction charge that claims that the judge led this defendant down a non-public hallway and allowed him to escape the county courthouse. That's a serious charge, and one that I think we're going to actually see play out in court as this evidence is fully laid out.
Congressman Bryan Steil from Wisconsin, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.